What's going on, guys? Just wanted to do this little video just to show you guys one of my other interests, one of my other hobbies, and that's Android smartphones. Now really, you know, they're called phones, but we've gotten to the point where these aren't even phones anymore. I call them pocket computers that happen to make phone calls. And I've been enjoying having one of these things in my pocket for years now, and I just kind of wanted to share it with you guys and walk you through kind of like my timeline here over the last few years before I sell some of these guys off. Because obviously Android is big, but there's also a lot of people who are fans of Apple's iPhone, and of course people who are fond of Windows Mobile. Windows Mobile has come a long way, but I'm big on Android and specifically HTC phones, and I just kind of wanted to share it with you before I put some of these guys on eBay. The whole family collection is here because it's not just me, it's me and the wife. We're only missing two phones, the very first and the very last. So bear with me and we can kind of walk through it, and I'll show you what we're talking about here. For starters, the first phone is missing. That's the one who would be that would be like right here, and that was the HTC G1. Back in late 08, early 09, my wife, who used to have sidekicks, got herself a G1, the first ever Android phone made by HTC. And it was so cool, I started calling it the super phone because we would go out, we were still dating at that time, and we would go out to dinner, we'd be at a restaurant, and we'd be talking, we'd have a question or something, you know, a curiosity, something that comes to mind, and now why is that thing rebooting? We'll get to that later. So we'd be sitting there, and you know, we'd have a question, something we're talking about, something about history or something about, you know, who won World War II. You know, obviously we all know who won World War II, but you get my point. That kind of question. It's like, look it up. Break out the super phone and look it up. You know, and this is, of course, is when smartphones were literally in their infancy. And you know, it was a G1, and compared to today's standards, it was super slow. But back then, it was the coolest shit. And you know, it got me hooked. So when it was time for me to get a new phone, because I had always had, you know, for the last several years before that, I had always had like little Samsung flip phones. I said, you know what, I'm going to get me a smartphone, and I got this guy right here in black, the T-Mobile MyTouch 3G when it first came out. And it's funny because, yes, you're looking at two MyTouches. The black one was mine, and I had that phone for a couple of years. And when wifey's G1 died, she went and got herself the red MyTouch 3G. And eventually, she got herself this G2, and I'm kind of bouncing around the timeline here, but she got herself a G2, so we ended up with the two MyTouches. So I wanted to root it because it was running so slow. Because I think when it wasn't Gingerbread, whatever update was before Gingerbread just really slowed down the slow-ass MyTouch 3G. So I rooted the red one since it was sitting around, and I actually used that for a while before I got myself this guy. The HTC Sensation, which of course is now rooted running Ice Cream ROM. And this HTC Sensation has actually been my phone for the last just a hair under 2.5 years. Now, bouncing back, this G2 right here is actually not the wife's G2. Yes, she did have a G2 for quite some time, because this MyTouch, if you can see, it's chewed up there at the bottom, it's chewed up there at the top, and the back panels, the back case plate is all messed up because of her mom's dogs. So that phone got messed up, and she went and got herself a G2, which she eventually sold. That is not her G2. That's a G2 I bought from a coworker to have as a spare phone. I bought it from him. I rooted it. Now it's running an Ice Cream ROM, and I was using it as an MP3 player. But I threw it in this video just to kind of give you guys the timeline. G1, pair of MyTouches, G2, the Sensation. Now when I got the Sensation, she bounced over here to this Samsung Galaxy S2 T989 T-Mobile variant, which I recently, probably like about a year ago, rooted. It's rooted, and it's now running a TouchWiz Jedi Mind Tricks ROM. I would have gone straight Android, but at the time I rooted the phone, the KitKat ROMs were just starting to come out. Nothing was really stable, and since it's her daily driver, I figured I'd give her a stable ROM. So I got, I think that's a Jelly Bean TouchWiz Jedi Mind Tricks ROM on there. But anyways, So this is what we've had all this time, and I finally got rid of the sensation. Since I rooted it, I've had Hyper Nonsense and Virtuous Inquisition. I got rid of Sense the moment I rooted the phone because I really hate Sense, just like I hate TouchWiz. I hate any skin on top of Android. And when I finally got rid of the sensation, I went and got myself the HTC One, which I still have Sense on because Sense on the HTC One works a whole hell of a lot better than it ever has in the past. Although I got this phone on a Friday and Sunday night, I rooted it. So I was running stock for about a day and a half. I've been rooted since. That's a KitKat Sense ROM. That's Android Revolution. And I'm actually going to go to the Google Edition ROM, the Google Play Edition ROM, probably sometime this week. I just got to go S off and haven't had a chance to do it. But I will. And that's what we're looking at. That's the history of HTC phones. Now, before I continue on, because you're wondering what the hell is up with this. Okay, well, I'll tell you before I continue on. I just, within the last 2 weeks, I bought my wife the red Nexus 5 from the Google Play Store. But of course she's out and about, she has the phone on her, so I don't have it here. But we have this case that she didn't like and we're going to return as a placeholder. I haven't rooted it yet, but it's KitKat, you know, straight up Android from the Google Play Store. I'll probably root it and just leave it stock whenever I get the chance. But really, I wanted to show you guys this because I'm a big believer in HTC. I had this phone for over 2 years with no case on it. It survived, no problems. I've had this phone, granted I had a case on it, but I've had this phone in my pocket, at work, up and down, living life for, you know, almost 2.5 years. A bunch of drops. I fucked that phone up a million times, and no major damage on the case, no major damage to the phone. These things last. I'm a big believer in HTC's hardware. They're survivors and they're tough. Samsung, on the other hand, this is a refurbished Samsung, and it's already having the power button issue with the reboots and the vibration and all that. And this is already a refurb because she had a problem and sent it back under warranty. My mom has a Samsung S3 and it's been problematic as well. I got a coworker who has an S3 and that one was being problematic. Same guy I got the G2 from, might I add. So, while I'm not knocking Samsung, I just much prefer HTC, and this phone is a beautiful design, and those dual speakers on the front are just kick-ass for someone who watches a lot of videos and listens to a lot of music on his phone like I do. And before I go, I must also add, whoops, almost knocked my speaker down here. Oops. I must also add, this is the Asus Transformer TF300T. I got it refurbed through Walmart online. It's already rooted, but I'm running the stock ROM. I'm going to update that to a custom ROM soon. And for the price and for the features, Asus makes the transformer pads are really nice, but it is a little laggy, so I am really just dying to get a custom ROM on there. Just haven't had the time to do it. But that's what we're looking at, man. That's Hoggie and Mrs. Hoggie's Android collection, of course, minus the first and the last. And just me personally, I'm an HTC guy all the way. That's, for me, three straight HTC phones and no problems to complain of. That's basically 5 years and some change with HTC, and they haven't let me down. And, you know, fuck Apple and their proprietary bullshit. Fuck Samsung and their light, flimsy phones. And fuck Windows Mobile. Just, you know, who wants a Windows phone? Yeah. So anyways, this is just me sharing a little piece of my hobby and my side interest with you guys. I hope you enjoy. This is for the phone nerds out there. I won't get into like specs and details, but obviously, you know, once you root them and you can go custom, you can do a lot with the phone. It's just so customizable. You can change your camera. You can I mean, the camera on the Sensation sucked. I, you know, downloaded an app that let me change all the settings from the audio bit rates to the resolution to everything in its mother, and it's working great. With this guy, I can do the HTC Sense camera, I can do the Google camera, and I can play with it 1,000,001 times over. You know, these things, I kept this thing alive way after it should have died just because I rooted it and got smooth, streamlined software. So I mean, it's just a better platform if you ask me. But before I hit the 10-minute mark and bore you guys to death, let me get out of here. Yeah. Buy Android, even though Google Plus sucks. Peace out.